Hi, scholars. Welcome to week 4. You're a quarter of a way through ARC Therapy 590. This session is on writing introductions to your empirical report of a single subject research design study. I'd like to acknowledge contributions to Karen Douglas and David Test. Our objective in this session is to explain how to write the introduction section of an article or research proposal. This links to the course objective: produce a well-written single-subject research proposal. Before conducting a study, you must review the literature to justify the need for your study. This literature review is different from a systematic literature review, but productive researchers often conduct a systematic literature review prior to an intervention study. Let's look at the research article / research proposal in discrete steps. Both start with an introduction section, which includes 3 components. First, a statement of the problem or a current status of a situation. Second, a review of related literature. Third, a statement of the purpose of the study. And these are recursive, and your purpose here is to anchor and start to funnel down so that we've got your problem, related literature, clearly anchoring to the purpose of the study you wish to undertake. Introductions include a statement of the problem. So what problem is the study trying to solve or address? Identify a general problem area and sometimes suggest or imply a possible needed solution. This usually can be accomplished in 1 to 3 paragraphs and is often built upon previous research limitations. You want to gain your reader's attention in the very first paragraph. Second, present the major purpose, determine what has been done and what needs to be done. To get ideas for procedures and strategies for conducting research, look at that past research. Identify strengths and weaknesses. Avoid other people's mistakes. This allows you to integrate your study into the existing body of literature and make a substantial contribution to the knowledge base. Part C, locate and synthesize database research studies on your topic. Focus, if possible, on the past 10 years or set a timestamp that pertains particularly to the question you are investigating. Avoid the temptation to include everything. It's not always true that bigger equals better. If the research area is well established, look for closely related studies. If it's not well established, then look for related areas. The purpose of this study will be to investigate, determine, compare the effects of an IV on a DV with a given student or population. That formula right there can be your perfect purpose statement, and then add your specific research questions as we practiced in Module 2 with guidance from the input in that presentation from Dr. Rob Horner. So our introduction, when we write it, we want to start with an outline, moving from general to specific. Think of the funnel problem statement down to your specific research question. This should be about 3 to 5 pages long, thinking of an APA manuscript where your pages are double-spaced, you remove the extra space after a paragraph. Present the general topic or problem of concern, then specify the focus of concern, identify prior database studies and what they have shown. Studies most like the one you're undertaking have found ... but they're limited because ... Therefore, the purpose of this study is to, and use the formula that we've just established. These specific research questions are, and use the format that we've practiced. So For this module, in this week, find an article on a topic that relates to an area of interest of yours, preferably using a single subject experimental design. Analyze that article's introduction, and then post on the discussion forum the top 3 takeaways that you will commit to in writing a research proposal. It might be something that those authors did that you wish to replicate. It might be something they did that you'd want to avoid. Give us your top 3 takeaways from reviewing and critiquing someone else's introduction. Remember, in reviewing related literature, to paraphrase. When summarizing most related studies, write a paragraph for each article and briefly include the purpose, participants, settings, dependent variables, independent variables, design, results. In fact, look at the results section first. Then write 1 to 2 paragraphs of the discussion section where the findings are described. Highlight limitations for future research. This is all in your notes. Not every single piece of this will end up in the article introduction that you ultimately develop. But tie these to your study, to your specific problem and your specific research questions. For example, a summary of Test and Heward's 1980 study might read, Test and Heward, 1980, conducted a study to teach photosynthesis to juvenile delinquents in a correctional facility. They used a multiple baseline across participants designed to measure the impact of a VRS instructional strategy on correct responses on a pencil paper test. The results showed that the VRS was effective in teaching basic principles of photosynthesis and in promoting generalization. The authors stated that future research is needed using the VRS to teach other academic subjects. Side note, do you notice the active voice in this paragraph? Can you find examples? For example, Test and Heward conducted. The authors stated, so we've got agent action here. It's keeping a active voice. Practice analyzing the introduction sections of single subject research studies. Here's an example from 2013, The Effects of Self-Monitoring on Teachers' Use of Specific Phrase. The abstract reads, teachers typically enter the field with limited training in classroom management, and research demonstrates that training alone does not result in improved practice. Typically, researchers have relied on time-intensive training packages that include performance feedback and improve teachers' use of classroom management practices. However, initial evidence suggests that self-management may be an effective and efficient alternative. In the study, the authors directly compared the effects of 3 different self-monitoring conditions, tally, count, and rate, and no self-monitoring on 5 middle school teachers' rate of specific praise using an alternating treatments design. The authors also included baseline and follow-up phases to descriptively explore the effects of self-monitoring across time. Results indicate that noting each instance of specific praise by either tallying or using a counter resulted in optimal performance, and teachers preferred using a counter. Additionally, study results, limitations, and implications are discussed. So here's the introduction section to this article. I see 3 paragraphs summarizing what has been demonstrated in past research. I've got a problem statement, summaries of what past research shows. And notice how not every single study requires its own paragraph. We can condense and link related studies in a single citation. Paragraph 2. Paragraph 3, summarizing past research. Topic sentence, researchers have also begun to explore the use of self-management with teachers. We're going to elaborate a little bit more on findings of Browder and colleagues in 86, and then relate that to findings of Allender and colleagues in 2000. Next paragraph expands what is known, calls out limitations. They've also stated that to examine the effects of self-management on teachers' use of praise in these studies. We see what happens in the explanation. We see a following paragraph elaborating and further specifying to narrow down what works, what doesn't work, so that we can drill to the specific problem statement and research questions. So here's what's happening in the current study, the problem statement, the research questions, adhering roughly to the outline of 1, teachers need training in behavioral interventions. Training alone is not enough. Training plus feedback, training plus self-management, and then we elaborate on self-management with teachers' use of praise, summarize the related studies, and then we find the purpose of the current study. We've got a purpose statement, primary research questions, secondary research question, and then how the study contributes to the knowledge base. So what type of literature is appropriate to search when you're writing your introduction? Look for peer-reviewed studies, literature reviews, meta-analyses, textbooks, position statements from professional organizations, but consider that those sources may weigh more heavily and may disseminate with more credibility than something like a blog, website, editorial, or conference presentation and proceeding. It's not to say that you can never use these, but the merit of the peer-reviewed studies is likely to outweigh an opinion that you might find on a blog or website. So in summary, your introduction should grab the reader's attention in the first sentence and first paragraph, should make us want to keep reading, should start with a general problem or issue or concern and then drill down to a little bit more specific issue, review the previous related literature on that topic, synthesize with some summary, and end with the purpose of your study and your research questions. So take this knowledge, take this outline, take this framework, and critique what a study in an area that you're interested in has done, and share with us your reactions and your commitments on the discussion forum for this week.